Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are going to be going over why you should consider upgrading to Simplified Printing TX. Without further ado, I will introduce my colleague, Justin Heron. Justin?
Good morning, and again, as Michelle said, thank you everyone for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about why you should consider upgrading to Simplified Printing TX. Without further ado, let's get started. So today, just brief introduction, there's me. I'm Justin, been with the company for a few years here, loving every minute of it. And also I have my colleague Ian on the line with me as well. He'll be doing the technical demonstration for Simplified Printing TX. So today's agenda, a couple of things. We're going to go over the evolution of Tricerat's printing solutions, some of the challenges that exist in IT, how we at Tricerat go to make IT simple, what is Simplified Printing TX, what are some of the product requirements and fits for TX, how we believe it improve your user experience, a little bit of our roadmap, and a little bit of Q&A at the end if we receive questions during the presentation. So, starting off, the evolution of Tricerat's print solutions. Many of you on the call today fit into one of these two categories. We initially introduced screwdrivers, which fixed a lot of remote printing issues in Citrix and virtual desktops, and it removed the need to manage print drivers, made people's lives a lot easier. Then we introduced Simplified Printing, which added not only screwdrivers technology, but also added some enterprise features like functionality with print servers and such. And so that was the next evolution. Some of you may be using that now as well. And so at this point, we've now arrived at Simplified Printing TX. So we've taken all the good things that we've learned with screwdrivers, all the good things that we've learned with Simplified Printing, and we've now rolled it into a new product that also allows for mobile devices and users to print in remote locations, as well as adding additional functionality. So, some of the challenges that are faced out there in adapting to a mobile environment. You're coping with all these different emerging technologies, and it seems like something new is coming around the corner every other day. There's so many different devices that you have to deal with, and dealing with scalability of your IT systems, making the things work the way that they've always worked, and now having to introduce all these new elements into the mix, and having to do so with thinner budgets. And even thinner resources, with people now having to wear multiple hats and do multiple things, especially in an administrative role. And that's kind of where we've come in and where we fit. I mean, our goal and purpose for the company has always been to make IT simple and improve the lives of administrators, because we believe with giving administrators the simplicity and power of our tools, we allow them to have it translates into simplicity for their end users, and ultimately creates a great experience for everyone and makes their lives easier. Again, we build a business on it. We know supporting printing is tough. I mean, you have so many different combinations of printers, brands, models, drivers, different devices, and they don't often always play well and play nice together. Now trying to introduce BYOD and mobile devices, and already still dealing with issues, dealing with remote printing, and even with the compatibility of some of the things that are out there. And speaking on that, I mean, there are some current solutions for mobile printing, but a lot of times you have to deal with multiple vendors just to make a solution work, and they don't necessarily have a knowledge of what the others are doing, and so there can be ultimately other complications there as well, which leads to confusion for your end users, which also ultimately leads to overloading of your IT admins, having to try and deal with and repair multiple issues with the environment. So, what is Simplified Printing TX and what does it do? Well, what it does is get the right printers to the right people. There's different ways to locate printers, whether it's based on location or setting up different networks for the printers, or even there's ways you can find nearby printers without having to download drivers for those printers. You can print from mobile devices, so iOS devices and non-AirPrint devices, and we can even control and restrict AirPrint to specific devices as well. And then again, the remote printing functionality that we've always brought to you. You can now, while using Citrix on your iPad, print to a home printer, and while using Citrix receiver on a thin client, you can print locally to a locally attached USB printer. So what does it really mean? What does TX mean for users? With TX for the end user, it uses the mechanics of social networking. So you can subscribe to different printers that you may need throughout your workday. You can friend other users with whom you want to share printers if they have printers locally attached. And there's also location awareness built in for selection and discovery. It's a single, easy-to-use app. So you literally just download an app from the App Store, point it at the network, and then there you go. And it's available on all major platforms. And what we aim to do is create a seamless user experience. So once you subscribe to a printer once, it'll be available to you across platforms. So you can go from one device to another, and all the printers that you subscribe to will follow you from device to device. And it handles all the setup and driver management in the background for the user. What it means for the administrator. Now, as the administrator, you can enforce and assign printers and subscriptions to users if you want to have that level of control. You can configure the security of printers so you can restrict access of certain printers or grant access to groups for certain printers. And again, as we've always done, manage the drivers for you on the back end using our screwdriver driver management technology. So let's take a brief look at the architecture of Simplified Printing TX. In the center there, you'll notice that, and where it's different from in the past, instead of just sitting screwdrivers on top of a server that you have in your environment, you actually have a Simplified Printing TX server that basically handles all the jobs, it's the brains of the operation, it handles the management of the drivers and etc. And then you see that just all your endpoints within your network get a Simplified Printing TX agent. So any print servers you have, any Citrix servers or remote servers that you have, and then any endpoint devices, so laptops, tablets, smartphones, and other devices that you have out there in your network get added to the network with the Simplified Printing TX agent. And then also any network printers that you have within your network would be pulled into the Simplified Printing TX network as well. And so, kind of some of the print paths that we just covered in that last slide are covered on here, and there's many more as well. I won't go over every single one with you, but you're more than welcome to look at the slide for a moment. And if you have any other print paths that maybe you don't see listed here, just give us a call, and we'll see if those are available to you. Now, some people ask about AirPrint and how do we virtualize and secure AirPrint. So AirPrint uses an open broadcast to the local subnet, meaning anyone can see and access the printer when you, let's say, bring an AirPrint printer into your environment. It's currently not supported by a large number of printers, especially some of your larger, more robust, all-inclusive ones. So what we've done is we have a patent-pending virtual AirPrint with direct multicast technology, where we can basically control the AirPrint technology and be able to give it to users how we see fit and how you designate it through Simplified Printing TX. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Ian, and he's going to do a brief product demonstration for you. Ian, you ready for me?
I am, Justin. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen here, and we're going to go get started with the technical part of this demo. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, especially for all of our customers that are currently using screwdrivers or simplified printing, and are wondering about an upgrade path and about the next evolution of our software and how you can benefit from that. So you already know, as many of you already know, that screwdrivers and simplified printing are a point-to-point solution, meaning there's one client piece. You can have several clients, obviously, but there's one client piece and there's one server piece, and those two pieces of software, the screwdrivers and simplified printing, don't really exist outside of those 2 points. So, and it's typically a Windows-to-Windows solution. So you have a client, Windows 7, let's say, and then a Windows Server 2008 or so. And you basically take, with screwdrivers, you basically take your printers with you into that remote session, whether you're using RDP or you're using a Citrix published desktop solution or a published app solution. So with simplified printing, you get a little bit more robust control over that, where the admin can assign printers to people that are coming into there. So you really don't need a client piece. You just have people that are getting the published desktop, or they're remoting into their server, and they're getting their printers assigned to them by the admin. So that's simplified printing. Again, that does not exist outside of that realm. It's simply a point-to-point solution. TX takes that solution, it takes that point-to-point solution, it incorporates that, and it expands on that idea where you can have you can subscribe to printers that are on a print server. You can have it on a Mac and a Windows workstation. You can even have it on your mobile devices, such as your iPhone, your iPad, and in the future we'll have Android and Windows Mobile 8 as well. So this idea of mobility and expansion of platform is what we're aiming for with Simplified Printing TX. So let me give you the idea and show you exactly how Simplified Printing TX works. So right now I have a VM of a Windows 7 64-bit workstation right here, and I have my TX agent. Now I'm set this to log in using my credentials that I log into the domain with. So Mtron is a user on the domain, and I also have it set to find the server address automatically. So DemoTX is our server address, fully qualified domain name. You can also use IP address. It's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and log in as Mtron, and then I'm going to show you the printers that I'm currently subscribed to, and I'm going to show you a printer that is assigned to me by the admin. The first three printers are the ones I'm subscribed to. So I have two Ricos, I have a Xerox, and these are all on print servers that I've been able to subscribe to. And on the left-hand side, I have my recent activity, my dashboard. This is kind of like your Facebook feed, your news feed, your Twitter feed. Anything that pertains to what is happening in your environment is going to apply and appear right here in your recent activities. So it'll let you know what queue is being built. It'll let you know if there was any issue with the building it. Right now this printer is offline, so it lets me know that it had trouble creating the queue, and that's normal because if a printer is offline, obviously it's not going to create a queue for you. So it lets me know these things right here in my activity feed, so if there's any issues, or it lets you know all the information that you need to know. So let me tell you how this works. Printers are built on the screwdriver technology, so Windows thinks that these printers are installed locally. So if I go to my printer devices, it lets me know here are my printers. It lets me know by my username and the session ID at the bottom of each printer, and it lets me know each queue that is being built, and it lets me view the queue as if it were a locally installed printer. So they're my Ricoh, my Xerox, and obviously the brother is offline, so it's not going to build. So here are my my printers. So if I go to the printers tab at the top, I have a couple different options. I can unsubscribe from them. I can set a printer as default. I can also hold or pause the printer, and I can also disable auto mapping in case I don't want these printers to build on every single device I log into. So, which I'm going to show you in just a few moments when I log into my iPad. And I can also manually create the queue if my auto mapping is disabled. Print jobs, if anything is printing, it lets me know right here. If I am hosting a printer, let's say I have a printer that is locally attached to this workstation, it lets me know that if anybody is subscribed to my printer, that it lets me know who's going to be printing, and any print jobs that are coming to me will appear here as well. So that's my print jobs, and contacts will be expanding on this. Other people in my corporation will appear here. I can add them. I can also later down the road we'll have other features where we can see the printers that they are that are attached to them, and the ones that they are sharing out on the network that you can subscribe to will appear there. So let me go back to my dashboard. Now, this is all fine and dandy. This is just a Windows machine. I can also have this on the Mac, and it'll look exactly the same on a Mac. So I just logged out. Now I'm going to bring up my iPad. So let's say I got to go to a meeting, and I need to print something like a report or a PDF off of my iPad. So I'm using Air Server to show you my iPad right now. I'm going to log in as Mtron. Same user. I'm going to click Login, And then I'm going to show you that the printers that I'm subscribed to, the ones that are subscribed that are assigned to me, also appear here when I log into my iPad. So if I were to unsubscribe from any device on my iPad or my iPhone or even my Windows or my Mac, that will travel all across the entire network, and whenever I log in as Mtron again, it remembers my settings for each of the printers and what I'm subscribed to. So let's take the Rico right here, the top one. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to click on unsubscribe. Let's say that printer is going down for maintenance, and I don't really need it right now. So I'm going to click unsubscribe. So we got rid of the Rico. Now, I'm going to go click on settings, and then I'm going to click on log out over here, and I logged out. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go back to my user. So I'm going to go ahead and log back in as Mtron, and you'll notice that the settings will update on the server, and it will remember that I unsubscribed from that printer. There we go. And the Rico is gone. And there you go. And now I have the Rico, the Xerox, and the Brother left. And as you can see, the Brother just went online, so it's it lets me know whenever a printer goes online or offline. So it always pings the printer to let you know the status. And take you through a few of the settings that are in the Mac and the Windows environment. You can choose to automatically start Simplified Printing TX on start. You can minimize the start. You can minimize the tray, minimize the close in general. So if I click X, it will minimize itself down here to the tray, so it doesn't fully close, and you don't lose all your printers if somebody accidentally clicks the X. You can bring it right back up from the tray down there. That's just a few of the settings. Like I said before, this expands on the idea of point-to-point solution, and it creates an entire mobile environment, cross-platform, for everybody in your enterprise. So you don't have to worry about managing every single device. You can manage everything from your admin console and say, okay, this person or this group or this OU gets this printer, or you could just have them subscribe to the printers that they want and let them do it themselves. It's totally up to you as an admin. That is kind of the upgrade path for our screwdrivers and simplified printing to TX customers. If you're looking to have that control over your mobile devices that are coming into your environment, and that is the technical preview of our TX agent. And I'm going to hand it back to Justin. Justin, you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Ian. Thanks.
Great.
Go ahead and switch the screen here. Back on board. So let's talk about some of the requirements there with what you just saw for Simplified Printing TX. So with the clients, the agents that are out there, available for 32-bit or 64-bit, iOS 5 and later, Android coming very soon, Mac OS X, Windows XP, Vista 7 and 8, Server 2003 through 2012, Zen App, Zen Desktop, Microsoft Remote Desktop, and VMware View. For your print servers that are out there, doesn't matter whether it's 32 or 64-bit, we have an app for that. Windows XP, Vista 7 and 8, and Windows Server 2003 through 2012 as well, and it runs as a service on that server. Now, the Simplified Printing TX server itself does require at least one per environment. That server can be virtual or physical, but it has to be a 64-bit server. So 2003, 2008, and 2012 Windows Server, as long as it's 64-bit works, requires a central store, which is a Mongo database instance that can be housed on a separate server, as well as the admin UI, which requires IIS, and it also can be housed on a separate server. So I know what you're thinking. You're saying, hey, this sounds great, but why not just let users figure it out with workarounds? And before we even go there, let's ask this question. Do you have users who have company data that they can access through their, smartphone or tablet device or mobile device? And I'll give you a couple seconds to answer there. Okay. And the answer that we usually get and we always get is yes. And so with that understanding, with mobility being upon us, we know that workarounds could be costly, especially, considering some of the security risk. I mean, emailing stuff to yourself is a great workaround, but when it can be sensitive data, it can open you up to security risks that are out there. So being able to do things directly from a remote standpoint is always a more secure option. In addition to that, you can stay ahead of the curve. So some places aren't necessarily ready or don't have their plan established for how they're going to handle BYOD, but you could be handling other printing issues as well as getting the ability to stay ahead of the curve with BYOD printing and mobile device printing with Simplified Printing TX. We use the term future-proof a lot here because you're future-proofing yourself with adding Simplified Printing TX into your environment. So, determining if TX is a fit for you. Do you currently see any issues with printing in Citrix? And if you do you have a mixed environment with VMware and Citrix, etc.? And are users accessing anything related with Citrix with their tablets while they're out there in the field or on the road? And are you allowing explicitly or not explicitly BYOD? And would it make sense for users to have a single ubiquitous solution for printing, especially, again, when it comes to future-proofing for printing from mobile devices? How we believe it improves your user experience. So we give users what they want, basically just a single, simple-to-use app, and we support mobile printing before it's even mainstream. So a lot of times we hear people who've learned to live with no. You don't have to tell users no now. You can tell users, yes, we have a way that you can do it with this device. So what are the next steps? Downloading Simplified Printing TX and giving it a try, obviously. Staying in touch with your reps here at Tricerat or myself. And everything is always on our website at www.tricerat.com. So at this point, we'll open it up to any questions that we may have received during the presentation. For those of you who may not be joining us through the question and answer session, I'd like to thank you very much for your time today and look forward to working with you as you go and download and trial Simplified Printing TX. And at this point, we'll go ahead and answer any questions that we have received. All right, so it looks like the one question that we received here was around the licensing for Simplified Printing TX. So being that most people are familiar with our traditional licensing, which is per server with our other solutions, Simplified Printing TX, we went in a slightly different direction. It's actually licensed per user. So every single user instance there is would have a license, and every single user instance there is would have the ability to use Simplified Printing TX across platform with multiple devices and carry their printers with them and their configurations and settings with them. So that's kind of what the reasoning and ideology behind setting up Simplified Printing TX as a user-based solution was. In addition to that, for those who, again, run our stuff already, run our Simplified Printing and our screwdrivers, it gives you the ability to also, you can transition your environment into Simplified Printing TX because maybe you have 3,000 users, but only 30 of them need the ability to print from mobile devices currently. You can then just, purchase for the 30 users that you need or however many users that you need. And as far as transition goes, you can, allow those number of users to print from their mobile devices as you see fit. So another reason kind of why we went in the direction of user-based licensing for Simplified Printing TX. So it looks like we've concluded our question and answer portion for today's webinar. Again, thank you very much for your time today. Look forward to working with everyone in regards to Simplified Printing TX. If you do have any questions, you can email sales@tricerat.com or feel free to give us a call on the phone. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.